Thank you for joining me for another edition of Casual Conversations. I am here with Beth Grace today, and we are going to go deep dive into Beth's background today. And for those tuning in, this is probably something you're going to want to watch until the end because Beth Grace is actually on the market and is looking for employment. So this is a great opportunity for you to get a deep dive into who is Beth Grace and what type of impact do you think Beth could make on your organization? So, Beth, with that, I will turn it over to you for a brief introduction to who is Beth Grace.
Hi guys, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for allowing me to be here today, John. It's so much fun to be able to be here to join you. Um, so who is Beth Grace? Wow, that is a loaded question. I'm a lot of things. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, leader, advocate, all kinds of positivity up in here. But I'm also someone who really enjoys watching others grow and being able to help people realize that they are more than what they originally thought that they could be. So, for the past 11 years, I've had experience managing several different types of projects in education and in tech. And throughout all of those, the biggest thing that I thrive on is being able to help others grow and being able to be kind of that guiding light for other people to realize that, hey, I can do this. I'm amazing. And so that way they can see what I see in them every single day. So I don't know. I'm like a dream grower. I don't know. That's what I like to call myself.
Okay, so I've noticed you have a couple nicknames,
Oh gosh.
and I just want to touch on a couple of them because I think they're relevant. So, Duchess of Positivity, can we talk about that just for a minute?
We sure can, and it all actually started out as a prank. Some of you, if you've been following me for a while, you know that Samantha, Sierra, and I talk a lot. And we were chatting one day in the DMs, and we were just, it was one of those things where we were trying to out awesome each other by giving each other more cool names than the other. And one of the ones that she threw out there was the Duchess of Positivity. A couple days later, I'm like, huh, I just want to see how many people are actually paying attention to my profile. Like, does anybody even watch what I do on LinkedIn? Come to find out they did. I went in and I put it just as a prank, and I'm like, Sam, let's just see what happens. And I put it up there for a couple days thinking nobody would even notice. I kid you not. I received at least 30 to 40 messages commenting on it saying, I just love that new nickname. I love your new headline. That is so awesome. You have to keep this. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done now? So then for a little while after that, every time I went on a live, they're like, the Duchess is here. And I'm like, I'm never going to get used to this. So needless to say, it stuck and it's here. So Duchess, here we are.
And leading right into that, level 22.
It's because I'm very competitive. That's the honest answer. I'm very competitive, and Jeremiah Hammond and Samantha Sierra were all about going level 21. And I'm just like, no, we need to one up this. We've got to have even more energy. So it's going to be level 22 every single day.
And I can tell you, as someone who has followed you for a while, you absolutely live up to that. And
Thanks.
in a great way, I think that I would encourage anybody to go check out your LinkedIn profile, and not just what you post, but if you know how to use LinkedIn, you know that you can go and look at comments and you can go and look at engagements.
Yep.
I would encourage you to go check out the comments because I have seen the level of positivity and energy that you bring to other people. And it's very evident in there when you look at that. And I think that we live in a time when a potential employer is absolutely going to do those things. And what I have loved about being in this circle with your army is that it's always uplifting, it's always motivating, and it's really not fluff. It is legitimate everyday things that people go through, businesses go through. And what I've really liked about your partnership with the folks that you've mentioned, Jeremiah, Samantha, is you're out there trying to give back to others and trying to help others navigate their day. And as a leadership guru myself, I'm drawn to that stuff, which is why we're connected, because I look for anybody out there telling a great story about something that really happened to them, and how they navigated that. So I just want to say, if you are a potential employer, or if you work for a company looking for amazing people, you have found one right here. Go check out our LinkedIn profile. The link will be in the comments of this video.
Thank you. That was the sweetest thing I've heard all day. My heart's so happy.
Well, it won't stop there, I promise. So I'd like to dive in a little bit into your history, and I'll start off by saying, I think job titles today are somewhat irrelevant, because the reality for all of us is you might have a job title, but when you get in there, you end up doing so much more than what the job title states. So, starting with your most recent experience, I'm just curious, what does a client strategy coordinator do?
That's a fabulous question, and I've been asked that so many times. And the honest answer is that it's a little bit of everything. So the company that I was with, they needed someone to kind of come in and be support for a group of account managers. And so part of how my role started out was there was no precursor for it. This position never existed at the company before. I was told many times it's a build your own adventure. And it truly was. I got to kind of build it the way I needed it to be and the way they needed it to be. And so it started out with, I mean, I come from a background in mostly education, so learning tech was just completely different. If you had asked me what a firewall was and what it does a year ago, I'd have been like, it does things that are good for your internet, and that would have been it. And so I just learned so much. So that was part of the like reason that I even accepted the position in the first place, was because I was really looking to dive into tech, because I've kind of developed a passion for that over the years. But part of this position involved like we had several clients that would need new product. So I would help them quote out new laptops, new any type of workstations that they needed, any sort of other peripherals. I also got to manage a couple of projects that I was super excited about. We got to do some new onboarding process improvement projects. We were in the middle of rolling out a new security offering for clients that's supposed to be done pretty soon, so that was exciting. I got to coordinate with vendors, and I got to talk to all kinds of people. And I'm very much a people person, which I really love doing that. And then I even got to work very closely with several internal teams, and we were just rocking and rolling, improving processes kind of all over the place. Were they like life changing? No, but did they help our everyday and what we needed to do for our clients? Yes. And so it was just so much fun. Unfortunately, that position was cut, so there was nowhere else for me to go, and so I was laid off. It happens. It happens to anybody, and that's okay. That is life. So it's more of what kind of mindset do you have when that happens? Are you going to be negative and be like, "Man, can't believe they just let me go. This sucks." Or are you going to be like, "You know what? I learned so much, and I am just so grateful I had the opportunity to work there and get to learn all this cool stuff. And now, how can I apply it towards a new role?" And the biggest thing that I'm excited about is that I developed a passion for managing projects over the past few years. And project management is just something I love to do. I love helping others. I love helping them grow. And I like talking to people. So I like talking to clients and like people that have their own companies. I just like doing that kind of stuff. And so what I'm hoping to do is in the new role that I get, I'm hoping it's a more project management centered, and I can use more of those skills that I've had forever and be able to do that. That's just something I love to do. I love helping others. I love helping people grow and just be able to see that they're so cool, because I see that every day, you know?
So that's interesting. The last part there about watching and helping others grow, because you have an education background.
I do. I do. For about 10 years prior to this, my last role, I was actually in special education. So even cooler, right? Sorry. I am a little biased, so special education is the best. I just love it. You get to meet all kinds of people and you really, really make an impact on the lives of students with disabilities. And so um, a lot of that role started out as a teacher. I was an educator. I was in the classroom all the time. I got to help students learn how to read and write and do math. And but what you don't know about special educators is that we are project managers every single day. And yes, anybody in education is a project manager to a degree, don't get me wrong. But in special education, especially, but on um, you you really are. You're in it every day. We, depending on what state you're in, they're called something slightly different, but you write these things called individualized education plans or programs. And every single student on your caseload would qualify to me, that's your client. Okay, that is your client. So if you, like, for any of you educators that may be watching this and you're trying to figure out how to translate your skills, any person that you're working with would be a client. That family is your client. Okay. And so what I would have to do in this role is I would have to work with other educators. I would have to work with parents. I would have to work with related service providers. Sometimes I'd even have to work with vendors if we needed a specific device for the student to work. But essentially, what you do is you meet with them fairly frequently. You're determining goals. You're determining milestones. You are determining who all these stakeholders are in this meeting for this one student. And you're trying to figure out a plan to get them from A to B. And then you have to make it measurable and you have to have objectives and you have to know how to get deliverables from this and how everything's going to work. And so most of the time as special educator, we usually have about 25 to 30 students on their caseload. In my last school that I worked in, I actually had close to 50. So I'm just like, I've been managing projects my entire career just about. And then I took that and then I went into the last role that I had, in my last tech role as the client strategy coordinator. And I had no idea how similar it actually was to what they were doing. It's like, wait a minute, I've been managing projects forever. It's just a different industry. And so I've also gotten to implement several projects in education. One of my favorite ones was that I saw that there was an issue with trying to make sure that students were being properly, I don't know, tracked so that way you could actually see their growth. And so I ended up coming in and saying, hey, we need to have some sort of measurement tool in place. So there was a new data analysis tracking system that I was just like, wait, we should use this because this will work. And I had to run it by leadership, and they're like, yeah, sure. So I and a couple of other people were allowed to go in and implement this particular project, and it worked. We got to see how students were progressing, and we were able to help them grow so much. So it's just interesting. It's you never would have seen the correlation, but it's there.
I can tell you, as being a business person my entire career, I absolutely see the correlation between a special education teacher and a project manager. I think the level of patience that you bring to the table, I don't think it. I think I would apply this to teachers in general. I have a lot of friends who are teachers at different levels. Very complex math, science. Some are coaches, and the patience that I think it takes to see that growth and to make sure that it stays on track. I think that absolutely plays into the business world because so many obstacles just get thrown in your way. And, I think if we all took a moment to think back to when we were going to school and all of the little things that happen between getting up and getting to school that could impact how you walk into that classroom. And the same exact thing happens for adults who are heading off to the office. For me, the correlation is simple. And I have actually worked professionally with many teachers who were
Mhm.
transitioning from education into, essentially the private sector business world. And so I'm curious, how did that transition come about for you, where you finally said, I've my mission here, my purpose here is coming to an end, and next up, this chapter of my life.
That's actually a funny question, because I was tagged in the comment section of someone who had posted something just like this. They're doing a study and trying to figure out why are teachers leaving the classroom. The honest answer is that there are several reasons why teachers are leaving the classroom. The specific reason I left is because I had my priorities wrong. And it was a very rude awakening to find out how and why I was wrong. So here's the short version of the story. So I had gotten to the point in education where I was literally working 24/7. There were not enough hours in the day. There just weren't to get all the things done that I needed to do. And so instead of just being like, I'll put it away and work on it another day, unfortunately, whenever you have certain deadlines in special education, if you don't meet those deadlines, you can get sued. So nobody wants that. And so you have to get it done. It's just get it done. And so I had literally let that become my life. So it was let's see, it wasn't so not this past June, but a year ago June that I decided to leave. And the reason why is because it was in February and I was just working on the couch once again, had my laptop in my lap. My kids were around me. I've got two boys and I've got a husband. Husband was around in the living room. My boys were around in the living room, and I was just working away. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't there, like I was
Hmm.
working. So he was at the time he was in second grade, and he comes into the living room and he is just like boohooing. There are tears, crocodile tears coming down this poor boy's face. And he just comes up and he's like, Mom, you need to quit your job. I'm like, hold up, what? He's like, Mom, you need to quit your job. You're here, but you're not here. You don't spend time with us. You don't like, do you even love us? We we don't know. You're not here anymore, Mommy. And of course, I'm over here, Psh, second grader. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it was about time for bed. And I'm like, uh-huh, sure. And I put them to bed. Well, then, and shortly after that, my husband went to bed. And then I continued working because I had stuff I had to do. And it was probably about 11 at night. I closed the laptop, put it on the coffee table, went up to bed, and I was like, shh, I'm going to sleep. Well, I am tired. And then I couldn't. I literally kept thinking about the crocodile tears pouring down my son's face and then started to realize that he was right. Even though I was here, I was not here with my family. It was a remote job. I was home all the time, but I was not here. So I had let work become my priority over my family. And anybody that has followed my content recently knows that I am a huge proponent of finding your priorities. Do not let the ones that don't matter take over. I can be replaced in any job. I can never be replaced as the mother of my boys or as my husband's wife. So choose your priorities wisely and just make sure that you keep those at the forefront because everything else will fall into place. Everything else, it will be there the next day. You'll probably you'll get it done, but your kids won't always be, you know, 8 and 11. You won't always get to have that time with them. You won't always get to spend that time with them. And same thing with your family. So that was why I decided I needed to change and decided I need better work life balance. So I took that summer to be and just spend time with my family. I didn't actually start my job search until last August. And then I had no idea what the heck I was going to do because who knows? You go into teaching expecting to live and eat and die there. Um, you don't plan on ever leaving. And so whenever you do plan to leave, there's no plan. There's not one. And so it took a lot of soul searching and prayer and researching. And eventually I came across Logan Langan's content and John Connolly's content. I'm like, wait a minute. This kind of sounds like what I did. So then I did some more research, reached out to both Logan and John, was like, hey, all I can do is say no. I mean, they were up here on pedestals. Ah, big, bright, shining stars that they are. Crispin Adonisio as well. And they accepted my connection requests. And then they started talking to me. And then I got to learn all this really cool stuff and be part of some of these really cool projects and realized that project management is where my heart is and it's what I love. And it's not even necessarily the part of managing a project. I love that. Don't get me wrong. I love getting my hands into everything, but it's the part where you see people grow and learn. And I think that's what I loved so much in education was that I got to see students and different teachers that I worked with and administrators grow and learn so much. And so I was just like, huh, it's like the best part of education that I love. So here I am. And once you get into project management, there are project managers in almost every single field out there. So if you want to, move from one industry to another, you don't have to be a pro in that industry to succeed. You need to know processes, you need to know how to manage projects, you need to know how to communicate and help grow people, but you don't have to know all the specifics of every single thing. We have SMEs for that, right?
Mhm.
So it's just something that I love, and it can go anywhere. So I can literally go anywhere, and the world is now my oyster, and I'm so excited for it.
Amazing transition. So what is next for you? Are you targeting any specific industry, or are you looking to stay in property management? Or I'm sorry, project management? Sounds like you are.
I am looking to try and stay in project management. I'm also not opposed to any sort of like customer success role, just because I'd be great at it too, and I love talking to people. But project management's where my heart really is. And I'm really looking at staying in tech if I can, because I have just grown so fascinated by it. Tech goes into every single facet of everything now. And it's just so cool. I love being able to see how all these things intertwine and work and jam together. But I'm also interested in ed tech, obviously. I mean, you take tech, education, just mush it together, voila, ed tech. And then I'm not opposed to healthcare. Like, healthcare is something that I've always been interested in as well. I just don't have as much experience in that specific area.
Okay. I that is healthcare to me is a little scary, but
It
I
can
have
be.
I have a couple questions. What does CAPM stand for?
That is a certified associate project manager. So you have different types of certifications that you can get in project management. And I would almost equate it to like college degrees. You've got your bachelor's degree and then you got your master's degree. So the bachelor's degree would be almost the equivalent of the CAPM, and then the PMP would almost be like the equivalent of the master's degree. It's the highest, most nationally renowned certification out there. And what I didn't know whenever I initially signed up to take my CAPM is that I already had enough experience to go after the PMP. You need 3 years of project management experience, which I have. So, but I'd already signed up for the CAPM, so I just went ahead and got it. And I'm really glad I did, because it made me have to study all this terminology and all these processes and all these things to actually really get a good head on how what I did correlate directly with project management anywhere else. Now, I get this question a lot from transitioning educators. Do I need to have a certification to get into project management? The answer is no. No, you don't. Experience is always going to speak higher than almost any sort of certification. However, it doesn't hurt. If you have the time and you want to learn it, you can. I did it because I needed a specific, like, I'm a person that needs deadlines. So I gave myself that deadline. And especially since I spent some money to have to do it, I'm like, man, I'm going to make sure I pass it. So I studied my little rear end off, and I got it in flying colors, above target, above target and everything. So I have decided though that I would like to try and get my PMP by the end of the year. So December, that's kind of my roundabout deadline right now. So it's kind of almost back to the nose to the study grind. So that'll be what I'm doing here soon. That's my next step into being project management material, I think, for me.
And I think I know the answer to the next question, but I don't want to make a fool of myself. So what does M.ED stand for?
Master of Education. So I've got a bachelor's and a master's in education.
Okay, I was pretty sure that's what it stood for,
Yeah.
but you know, so those who know, I didn't know for sure. So, all right. So, in terms of geographic location, is there a specific area that you're targeting to stay in for a physical report to the office job?
Great question. If I am gonna see, I'm not opposed to all of the above. I cannot relocate, but I live in the Nashville surrounding area, a little bit south of Nashville, actually. So if it was going to be any sort of on-site or hybrid position, it would have to be, within an hour of Nashville. But otherwise, I'm looking at remote, just
Okay.
like everybody else.
Yes. Yeah, that does seem to be the flavor of the last couple years. So
Yep.
that's awesome. So, Beth, is there anything else that you want a potential employer or a potential future coworker to know about you that you would bring to the job site or to the organization?
You know what? Yeah. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm pretty dang positive. I love seeing the good in any sort of bad. So I bring the good out of bad situations. I promise you, I can find something good out of anything. I bring those silver linings. So, yeah, that's my biggest thing, I think, is that I bring a really like fresh personality, but in like a good way, not a bad way. And I can talk to anybody. I can make friends with a wall. I mean, and I've done it before. Don't ask me how, but somehow I did it. That wall was definitely my friend. But I'm just like I come in and I bring lots of experience and lots of cool skills, and I'm so excited all the time. So I bring all the energy too. So don't worry, you haven't had your morning coffee. I got your energy for you. It's all here. So it's just getting things moving, grooving, and energized, you know? So I bring lots of just good stuff, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, I think if anybody has watched this whole video, there's no doubt in their mind. You've talked about being laid off like it was a winning lottery ticket. You match the same type of energy because I can tell you that my kids make comments to me about how much I work. And sometimes I'd rather get poked in the eye with a pencil than to hear that. And as hard as that was for you to hear and to process, you presented it in a super positive way. So I think you have definitely put that on display here today, and the energy is contagious. And I know that because I've seen you in other environments where you bring up the level of energy, you bring up the level of happiness. I think any employer would be thrilled to have you, and I'm certain your former employer had a lot of regret putting your name on that list. Um, but I think that if they're watching this, you have probably put them at some ease because you are such a positive person and you do find the glory in everything.
I do. And thank you so much, man. Heart's overflowing over here, just saying. I appreciate it a lot. There is one last final thing that I would
Mhm.
just like to kind of leave everybody with. If you are one of those that you have your priorities wrong, or you wake up dreading wherever you have to work at every day, you do not have to stay. At some point, you do have to prioritize you, and you do have to prioritize your family and the things that are important to you. And I kid you not, whenever I said the world is your oyster, it is if you want it to be. It is a mindset thing. Nothing can hold you back except you. So if you need any help getting your brain in the right space or just have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to share. Granted, you might have to give me a little bit of time because sometimes I do have a very large wealth of emails that I have to answer. But I promise I will respond. I will. So if you ever need anything or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you for that. I will put Beth Grace's contact information in the comments of this, and of course, wherever you found this video, very likely there's a link to Beth Grace's LinkedIn page or her contact. And if you know how to use LinkedIn, you can find her email address. That's how I found it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me the time today. I really appreciate this opportunity. Um, if you haven't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, I would be grateful for anybody watching this who wants to subscribe to it. And I have attempted to put some humor out there for folks to show my lighter side. Beth Grace, I'm certain I'm going to get some subscribers just for you being willing to do this for me today. So thank you.
No problem. I'm super excited to be here. It was actually so I was nervous. I was a little bit nervous, but it's been so much fun.
Well, you brought the fun for sure. I'm just here steering. So thank you for that.
You're doing great.
All right.